4:23 a.m. Kursk region, November 14th, 2024. Soldier Kim Jong-ho, 23 years old, is crouching in a frozen trench, holding an AK-74M rifle he had never seen before in his life. And in the next 72 hours, 847 North Korean soldiers will discover something that will shake 70 years of indoctrination. Real war is nothing like what Pyongyang taught. But here's the problem. They were sent as elite troops. How did soldiers trained for 8 years face defeat in 3 days? 10,000 men sent. 847 casualties in 72 hours. A survival rate collapsing in real time. No one expected it, until a leaked video at 11:17 p.m. revealed the truth about what happens when propaganda meets reality. Why internet was the forbidden word that changed everything. What a captured smartphone revealed about the cultural shock, and what happened at minute 47:23 of the first combat that no one predicted. Have you ever believed in something with such certainty that seeing the truth destroyed you? Kim Jong-ho believed for 23 years that North Korea was the most powerful country in the world. It took 47 minutes of combat for that illusion to crumble. Russian military base, Kursk region, 5 a.m. Temperature minus 12 degrees Celsius. Frozen mist. The smell of diesel and wet earth. Kim receives Russian equipment. A second weapon. And then, he stops. He looks around. Something is wrong. It wasn't the modern weapons. It was the food. Rations with an expiration date of 2024. In North Korea, military rations were from 2019. The uniform didn't match the training. The equipment didn't match the doctrine. Reality didn't match 23 years of propaganda. Did you see that? Russian soldiers with smartphones. North Korean soldiers had never even touched one. And that was just the beginning. Keep this in mind. You will see what a North Korean soldier discovered when he picked up a cell phone for the first time. But before what happened, you need to understand why 10,000 men were sent without real preparation. Kim Jong-un bet on this, and he lost soldiers. Mental experiment. Same soldier, two realities. Pyongyang taught that North Korea is a superpower, enemies tremble, victory is guaranteed, and technology is superior. The reality of the Russian battlefield shows drones flying 24/7, GPS-guided missiles, instant digital communication, and real-time warfare connected by satellites that Kim never knew existed. Tactics changing every 3 hours based on artificial intelligence. Reality broke the illusion in less than 48 hours. South Korean intelligence reports obtained on November 22nd show that North Korean soldiers trained for a 1970s war. Frontal assault tactics. Analog radio communication. Zero experience with drone warfare. Military analysts estimate the average adaptation time for modern warfare is 6 months. The time the North Koreans had was 4 days. More, 73% had never used a digital night vision scope. 91% had never operated GPS systems. 100% had never seen a real combat drone. And the impossible, they were forbidden from using cell phones, even in Russia. A direct order from Pyongyang. Translating, it's like sending chess players to play a first-person shooter video game. Same rules of conflict, totally different dimension. A Russian colonel reported to superiors, they fight as if they are in 1953. The enemy is in 2024. Kim Jong-ho, enlisted at 15. 8 years of training. Best marksman in his unit. 347 simulated combat exercises. 0 real combat. There's something about what he did when he saw the internet for the first time that will change how you think about indoctrination. Because it wasn't a lack of courage. It was a 50-year technological abyss meeting reality at brutal speed. November 14th, 6:47 a.m. First combat mission. Kim and 200 North Korean soldiers receive the order. Advance 2 kilometers and take the Ukrainian position. It seems simple. They form an assault line. Classic tactic. Exactly as they trained. They begin to advance. 47 seconds later. Buzzing. Kim looks up. He sees something small in the sky. It's not a plane. It's not a helicopter. It's a modified DJI Mavic 3 commercial drone. Cost, $2,000. Carrying a 400-gram grenade. Kim doesn't know what it is. He's never seen it. Training didn't cover it. The manual doesn't mention it. Explosion. 6 meters to the left. 3 soldiers fall. Kim is covered in dirt. According to a Ukrainian report, enemy formation exposed. Predictable movement. 14 drones activated. Engagement, 2 minutes. Wait, it gets worse. Drones weren't the biggest problem. It was the North Koreans' response. In the first minute, soldiers stop and look at the sky. In the second, officers shout, "Advance" in Korean. In the third minute, more drones and more explosions. In the fourth minute, the unit breaks formation and runs. They had 0 anti-drone training. 0. Literally 0 hours of preparation for the threat that dominates 60% of the modern battlefield. First combat, 200 soldiers sent. 38 casualties in 11 minutes. 19% loss. A rate considered catastrophic by modern military standards. But that was just physical. The psychological trauma came later, when they found something Pyongyang said didn't exist. November 17th, 11:17 p.m. Temporary Russian base. Rest tent. Piercing cold. Breath-forming mist. Sound of distant generators. Smell of heated canned food. Tense silence among exhausted men. A Russian soldier leaves his smartphone unlocked on the table and goes out to smoke. Kim looks around. He picks up the device. Screen on. Colorful icons. He taps one. YouTube opens. The first thing he sees, a video of Seoul. Skyscrapers. Lights. Modern cars. People laughing. K-pop playing on giant screens. For 23 years, Kim learned that South Korea was a poor country occupied by Americans. Hungry people begging for reunification. The screen showed the capital he was taught to pity was 40 years ahead of Pyongyang. Kim searches for North Korea. He sees satellite photos. Pyongyang dark. Seoul shining. He searches for Kim Jong-un. He reads articles about sanctions, isolation, and the truth. Hands trembling. Everything he knew was questioned. A South Korean intelligence report indicates that 37 North Korean soldiers had unauthorized access to the internet and all showed signs of psychological shock. A Russian sergeant who witnessed it reported, he cried. He held the phone and cried. Not out of sadness, out of anger. Anger at being lied to his whole life. A leaked video shows Kim watching BBC News about North Korea. He stops in the middle, turns it off, looks at the wall. In Korean, he whispers, "Lie. Everything a lie." It wasn't an isolated case. Russian commanders reported generalized anomalous behavior among North Korean troops after contact with technology. Some tried to defect. Others asked to stay in Russia. Many fell into sudden depression. The internet wasn't a weapon. It was the truth. And the truth destroys propaganda faster than any missile. December 3rd, 2024. 19 days after the first deployment. Official statistics estimated by Western intelligence. 10,000 soldiers sent, 847 confirmed casualties, over 1,200 wounded, 120 missing. Combat effectiveness, 23%. For context, experienced Ukrainian and Russian soldiers have an average effectiveness of 64%. The difference is real experience and integrated technology. Pyongyang temporarily stopped shipments on November 28th, not because of casualties, but due to tactical adaptation issues. Real translation: soldiers returning with stories the regime cannot control. Kim Jong-ho is alive. According to sources, he was removed from the front line. Current location, unknown. His video watching YouTube was seen by 4.7 million people before being removed. This operation revealed 3 brutal truths. Technological isolation creates obsolete soldiers. Propaganda cannot withstand 10 minutes of Google. And modern warfare does not forgive a lack of knowledge. Look, when I started researching this story for Frio Noticias, I expected to find another tactical report of conflict. Numbers, strategies, the usual. But what I found was something much deeper. Something that made me stop and think for days. Kim Jong-ho is not a villain. He is not a hero. He is a victim. A victim of a system that controls information so rigidly that it transformed entire generations into reality illiterates. And the scariest part? It's not about North Korea. It's about how any society that controls information creates this same result. How many of us live in information bubbles? Algorithms that only show what we want to see? News that confirms our biases? The difference between us and Kim is that he found out in 47 minutes of combat and 10 minutes of internet. Maybe we never will. That's why Frio Noticias exists, to bring stories that no one else tells. Truth that bother. Perspectives that challenge. If this story impacted you as it did me, subscribe to the channel because there are many more stories like this coming. Leave a like. It helps the algorithm show content that really matters. Comment below. What would you do if you discovered everything you were taught was a lie? Frio Noticias. Because the truth doesn't need propaganda. It just needs to be told.